Hello there everybody, it's Peta Hewitt, la-artistino. And guess what? I've got another colouring book review for you. This time we'll be delving into the magical world of the Lumina Chronicles. This is a fantasy colouring book created by Cristina and is actually the fourth book that she has created in her series. The other books that she's done in the past have been Windows of the Soul, Sacred Beauty and Spirit Women, and these are all available in the link that I will give you below. You can also download them as digital downloads. She has a fifth series that is going to be set to release as a print, which is also available as digital downloads at present, and that is called Magical Beauties. Now, Cristina is a digital artist, so all of her pictures are done as beautiful vector graphics, so lovely smooth line art, if that's the sort of thing you like, and I certainly enjoy playing with smooth vector line art. It's very pleasing, gives a lovely crisp result to your work. I like doing hand drawn as well, but I love this style. Anyway, we'll delve in. This is a Amazon print, so it is on the Amazon paper. You've got the standard sort of card cover. It's an interesting print in that both sides of the paper she has chosen to print on, and it is cool. We've got this grayscale line art because it has a story to it. Now, we've got the introduction here where she explains her work and what she's attempted to do here. And we come into the story itself. And this is a full story, like a short story written, that goes along with the pictures. And it's set in the Victorian era and follows the exploits of a Victorian scientist as he investigates this mysterious crystal that he's found and its properties concerning refraction and reflection of light. And as you can see, there is grayscaling on this picture too. The grayscale I found a little bit problematic on the print. It sort of affected the way that the pencil went down, but it's very marginal. It wasn't bothering me too much, but it did seem having the grayscale flatten the tooth slightly. As I said, it was only a slight thing and it really didn't bother me too much to colour over the top, but it's something to keep in mind when you're choosing the type of pencils you would like to work with in this book. If I flick to the back of the book now, I will show you she has kindly left us a scratch page to play with, and I love it when I find books with a plain piece of paper at the back so that I can actually experiment with the art materials that I want to use in it. And so I've done a very thorough check of quite a number of different art materials so you can see exactly how they're going to perform on this paper. There's a number of different pencils up here, the Derwent Colour Soft, the Micador Colour Rush, Prismacolors, Progresso pencils, they're the woodless ones that I have. The Faber-Castell Classics, they're the student variety of Faber-Castell, and the Faber-Castell Polychromos as well. And also I did the Derwent Artist. Now if I just pull it up to the camera a little closer so you can see how they perform, and they do perform fairly well on this paper. It isn't the greatest paper to layer on, but you can certainly get gorgeous dense results from your pencils in here, and I think any of these pencils, and certainly try any other brands that you have yourself, but any of these will produce a fairly pleasing results. My favourite to colour in this book was the Prismacolors, and I think that's more because of the very bright colours that you can get with the Prismacolors. It suited the material, the sort of subject matter in this book. But any of these I'd be happy to colour in. Probably the only one I might steer away from actually is the Derwent Colour Soft. I found they felt a bit funny going down on this paper, and I didn't really like them so much, but I have problems layering the Colour Soft anyway, so I don't mind using them for certain sorts of papers, but they're not my favourite. Any of the others work fine. I tried watercolour on this paper as well, and this is not watercolour paper. It doesn't take it very well, and even with small amounts of water it didn't work. If I pop up here, you can see I've done something with pit pens and gel pens and some cheap chalky watercolours as well. Funny enough, the cheap chalky watercolours, actually the paper seemed to accept it better and didn't crinkle as much, but the problem with the cheap chalky ones is that it will obliterate your nice black lines of the line art, so it won't look as crisp when it's finished. I've got the Tombows here and the Pit Pens, and I'll flick over the page. You can see, even though with the Tombos and the Pitt pens, there wasn't actually bleed through, and keep in mind this is only one layer of colour and I've allowed it to dry. There is quite a lot of show through because this is very thin paper, and in fact you can see the thinness of the paper means that even pencils will show through. With my gel pens here, I think if you used a dense or wet gel pens that you would get a little bit of bleed through, and certainly there is show through. With my watercolours, yes. Now down the bottom here I've got markers, the Copic markers, and of course being alcohol based markers they bleed through everything, so expect them to bleed through quite ferociously. Now, as I said before, this book is a story-based book, so you'll find that there's a lot of print on the left-hand page with the story in it, and then she also includes these little pieces here which give suggestions to you on how to go about colouring the page, and a few little tips for achieving different colouring results, which is a really nice little piece to have. So you can follow these little tips to colour in the page next to it. They're generally very relevant to the subject matter of the next page, or you can just go alone and see what you come up with by yourself and use your own techniques that you've learned. Now initially there's a lot of grayscaling in this page, and I think she's trying to achieve the effect of an old, worn Victorian looking book that's, you know, a century or two old, so that it's got a lovely kind of printed texture on it that you'd need to just go over perhaps with a cream or a brown pencil with a little bit of a colour gradient going towards the end, and you'll have a lovely nice looking sort of parchment piece of paper fairly easily. She's already provided the texture for you. Going on with the story, this part of course there's no fancy drawings here, it's just you basically, as you're getting into the story, the pictures follow what is happening in the story. So you'll end up with a coloured storybook in the end. I've got some fun colouring crystal shapes and prismas. And now we see the start of these very fanciful designs coming through as the scientist begins to see results of his research into the colours in this crystal. You've got some lovely pattern art here. Again, there is more tips on how to go about colouring it. So you've got starts off with some lovely mandala style art, so you can, if you like mandalas, this is perfect. And pictures begin to form within the pictures that you see. And suddenly, there's a face. And this is the beginning of these little characters that live inside this world, and you can read more about them in the story, of course. Now, this book lends itself extremely well to bright colours, and I think this is why I was drawn to use my Prismacolors in this book, because the Prismacolor range is very bright, as opposed to say the Derwent Artist pencils, which sort of tone more towards natural colours, more sort of muted colours. Here's an invitation to create a colour wheel for yourself, which is very handy, and I think if you look on the back cover here, she's got a few examples of her coloured work, and there's the colour wheel there. So you could basically follow this picture here, use this as a guide to colour in your colour wheel here. And then you've got a colour wheel that you can use to see which colours oppose each other and which colours complement each other and which colours sort of like go together. Some of these pictures have pre-printed black backgrounds. Now, say with there being print on the other side, you really don't want to use your markers or anything that's going to bleed through. I'd stick with your pencils for this book. Now here is the picture that I've coloured, and as I said, this is with Prismacolor. Now she's got little instructions here on how to achieve a stained glass effect, which is what I use to do this picture. Just the plain panels of glass and these textured panels as well. And there's the instructions there. So I won't go in how to do that, because if you get this book, she'll tell you right there how to do it. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. The laydown with the Prismacolors, if you go in lightly or medium, you'll find it leaves a lot of, because of the texture of the paper, you'll see that a lot of this white speckling throughout. You can go over a lot heavier and obliterate the white speckling, or put a blender pencil over the top, blend out all of that and push all the colour into the little grooves and crevices of the paper to get rid of the white speckling if you don't like it. This was quite acceptable to me, I think. This made it nice and bright. There's a little bit of white speckling, but it doesn't worry me. I went a lot denser on the figure himself to obliterate it to bring him out, and I left the background looking a little bit more speckly so it makes him pop out a bit more. As you can see with the all the dense colour there, if you turn over, you don't really notice it at all on the other side. In fact, I can't see it at all on the other side because of the print over the top. That is the only picture I've actually coloured in this book. I've been a bit busy of late, but I'm certainly going to visit this book again to colouring because this art's gorgeous. And if you want a real colour fix with lots of splashy bright colours, this book is perfect. Her style is gorgeous. I've had a look at her other books. I don't own them myself, but what I've seen online, and her website previews her coloured pictures that she's already done if you need ideas or you want to just see what else it can be done with this book. I've had a look at her Spirit Woman women book, and that is absolutely gorgeous. So is Sacred Beauty. In fact, they're all beautiful. She has a magic looking style. This one's lovely. She suggests doing this in nature colours of greens and golds, and I can certainly see myself doing it in those kind of tones. You have some grayscaling here. You could leave them alone, or you could put a colour over the top if you wanted. I'd probably be inclined to leave them alone since there's so much colouring to do here. This is glorious. I love this. I can see this going in golds and yellows and very bright glowy colours. And here's one that, yes, she has coloured but has turned into a grayscale to include. So you can actually just use this grayscaling itself and see what sort of tonal effect that you can get. And that's the end of the book. She's got a few words of inspiration. She's got some description of how she went about researching for the book. She's been very thorough. A lot of interesting reading there, and some information about the artist herself. And that's her logo, by the way, Gypsy Mystery Arts. You can find that online. She has a website, and I will include that in the comment below. And that is the Lumina Chronicles by Cristina McAllister. I hope you enjoyed this review and have a lot of fun with any other colouring adventures you're currently on. Until next time, happy colouring! Hope you're enjoying any colouring adventures that you are currently on, and until next time, happy colouring!